Waiting period is nerve-wracking. The waiting period is a period filled with tension, anxiety. It's filled with, tough love, and I call it sometimes that it's filled with a lot of energy in the air. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bola Harrison. Kindly stay, keep watching, enjoy, and lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're new on this channel, I inspire, I motivate, and I help students to achieve their study abroad dreams. So if you are new here, you're welcome to join my family. Simply click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so whenever a new video goes up, you will be the first person to know. All of these features are absolutely free. So let's dive right into today's topic, and I really hope that you enjoy it. I'm sure you will. So welcome to today's discussion, where I'll be talking about navigating the waiting period and how to make the most of the waiting period. Now, the waiting period can be a nerve-wracking period. It's a period that is filled with anxiety, filled with tension, filled with a lot of panic attacks and frustration and even depression. Speaking from experience, the waiting period is not the easiest of time for international students or prospective international students who are planning to study abroad. Now you are transitioning from your home country, from what you know, from what you've been doing, from everything that is familiar to you, and you are packing your bags and moving to a totally foreign place where you know nobody. If at all you don't know anybody, even if you have families, you're practically like changing your whole life. That period is nerve-wracking. I mean, I've seen people who got visas and they are scared to actually move. So that's also a waiting period. So let me take it one after the other. Let's dive right into the topic. So whether you're waiting for admission, scholarship or funding, or you're waiting for your visa decision, the waiting period, for me, I believe it is an essential period where you can be proactive, you can be positive and prepared. There are three things: being proactive, being positive, and being prepared. The waiting period is a period where you can do this. I have discovered that a lot of people use the waiting period for things that do not necessarily help them when they get to where they envision that they are going to. Rather, they focus on, oh, I'm waiting for my visa, which I can relate to, trust me. So speaking from experience, I know that it's a period where you can be overcome with frustration, you can be overcome with worry, anxiety, even depression, especially when you have spent so much money on application fees and you are not getting the positive feedback that you were looking forward to. You must have paid someone or done it yourself and the results are not coming the way you expected, or it's taking time. Trust me, even waiting outside of the being an international student, waiting on things, normal things in life like a job application decision, waiting on God, all of those things are very tough. Now imagine that you have put all your savings and your plan and everything to move out of your home country and things are not going as you planned, or you've perhaps quit your job, you're waiting for your visa and it's taking forever to get a response. It can be nerve-wracking. One thing you want to do in the waiting period is actually to stay informed. You know, sometimes we are preparing our applications, you're like, oh, I have time, but you really do not have time. For instance, you have to stay informed about the school, the deadline, application deadline, and the timelines for when you can apply for visa and when you can enroll. Some schools, they tell you that once the school starts, you only have 2 weeks more extended deadline. So you want to be informed about deadlines, you want to be informed about school webinars, if they have like webinars online for international students. You want to be informed about deadlines for the application. Say you've applied in January but the school doesn't release result until April. You want to keep on following them to know April when. So you want to stay informed about stuff like that. If there is a funding, you want to know when does the funding typically open up and when is the deadline for such funding. If there is a scholarship you want to apply for, you've already applied for, you want to follow up and know what the next steps are. Just because there is radio silence on the other end from the admission or scholarship committee does not mean you should also go mute. You should actively try to stay informed by getting in touch with the email address, getting in touch with somebody on the other side, like the program coordinator, the scholarship coordinator, or the contact person for such funding, scholarship, or the department, where you can find out information like, oh, just to check in, I wanted to know if there's any new development. Can you please tell me or let me know? Kind regards. And if they like, they should not regard. Number two thing you want to do is actually to be proactive. I know this might sound somehow or redundant that, oh, I already put in my application, so what else do I have to do? I have nothing to do. Actually, this is the period where you have more work to do, because it's not about putting in your application for admission, for the funding, or for the visa. It is actually being proactive, because if you don't get busy doing something that you are lacking already, say for instance a skill, a new skill, So you know you are leaving your home country. I'm going to use Africa for an instance. You're leaving Africa, you're going to Europe. You want to make sure that you have a skill that can fetch you money there. So look for the loopholes. What is missing there, and what skill can you learn here that would fetch you money there? Because to be honest, learning skills here is more expensive than learning them back home. So it will do you a whole world of good if you learn skills such as hairdressing. Like frontal installation is a new big thing now. So in hairdressing, you don't need to learn from the scratch. Just learn how to weave her back, like weave hair, and then learn how to install the frontal. That alone will fetch you good money here. If you decide to come here to learn things like microblading, fixing nails, which of course their techniques might be different, but if you have the foundational knowledge, it's going to help you. It's going to be more expensive compared to doing the normal apprenticeship and training back home in Africa or wherever you are in your home country. So basically, learn a skill in your period of waiting. Don't just stay idle and say, oh, I've already done that. Now, if you already have a skill, if you already have an handiwork like tailoring, hairdressing, carpentry, mechanical work, and all of that, the next thing you can do to help yourself is to learn or engage in a professional course activity. So one thing I learned before I moved abroad was that there are certain skills you need to elevate or upskill your career, upskill your CV to make you stand out from the crowd. Basically, you have 1,001 people who have learned or who have studied law, who have studied business administration. What makes you stand out? If you don't have enough work experience, you want to show that you are actively looking for one. You are actively gaining skills somewhere that will be relevant to the job you want to apply for, or to the life or to the career you see yourself having when you move abroad. But one thing I regret not doing was learning how to drive and getting my driver's license from Nigeria before coming to Belgium. Now, if you do learn how to ride a motorcycle or a car or a bicycle, there are certain jobs that are attached to those kind of life skills. It's a skill that helps you in case you buy your own vehicle here. It's also a skill that could help you as an international student if you are looking to go into part-time gigs that involves driving or riding a bicycle or a motorcycle. First step or another advice I'm going to give you in this period is to stay positive. Now, I know that it is easier said than done to say, oh, just be positive, you will get it. But we just, we all know that sometimes it's what we plan for is not what we get, because you've put in an application, in your head, you've ticked all the boxes. Oh, you could even be a first class student. At the end of the day, you don't get the admission. You could have all the qualifications, but at the end of the day, things just don't work out the way you had planned or hoped for. So it's easier to tell you stay positive. But to be honest, when I was applying for my visa, a lot of my friends that knew, not my friends, like colleagues that were all in the same group doing the same thing, that we converse on regular, sometimes they'll just see me dancing on my WhatsApp status. You guys know I already like to dance, so they see me and they're like, Bola, is the visa out? And I'm like, no, I didn't want to worry about things that I have no control over. So the best thing for me is to just be happy and be positive, because I have already put in my best and there's nothing more I could do from that point. It's just between God and the admission committee if I get the admission or the funding or the visa. There was nothing more I could do at that point. So I totally just had to hands off. Another thing I also tried to do to stay positive was to change my vocabulary. I know this might not mean much to you, and it's not faith, it's faith-based, but at the same time it's a bit different. I changed my vocabulary because it also changed something in my mental psyche. I don't use the word if. So once I put in an application, I use the word when. So it also makes me try to look forward to things, try to know that I've done this one, so the next step, or when this visa comes out, this is what I want to do, or when the visa comes out, I'll be leaving Nigeria at this point in time. Those are the kind of things I told myself, and everything about me was tilting towards when, not if. Because when you start to think of if, you are unsettled. When you start to think of if I get this admission, it gives you a kind of vibe or energy, because I'm a big believer in energy. So it gives you a kind of energy that does not really give, your body language changes. You are doubting, you are not settled, you are worried. But when you are going with when feels definitive, when feels settled, when feels sealed and concluded. So for me, it's a matter of when do I want to leave? When do I want to pack my boxes? You can link that to faith-based actions. Faith-based actions could be buying your box and using it as a point of contact between you and your God. Praying about it and telling God that, you see, I'm going to leave. My faith-based action was actually telling myself that I'm not going to rent an apartment. So my rent was going to be due, say, sometime in April 2022. But as early as December, January 2021, I was already telling myself that I'm not renewing my rent in this country. I will stay with friends, and by September or August, I'm out. And I didn't renew my rent. I stayed with friends for like 3 to 5 months before I left, and I did not rent any apartments in Nigeria. So for me, that was a faith-based action that was tied to me being positive. So I didn't rent the apartment, because for me it was a matter of when I would leave, not if I would leave. If I had said if, I would have been tempted to tilt towards renting my apartment or saying, oh, take 6 months rent. I was not interested in doing that. I rather use that money to save towards my flight ticket, and which was exactly what I did. Now, another point is to start researching. I know some of you are not handling your applications yourself. Even if you are using an agent or using someone to help you gain your admission or do stuff, I would actually advise that you start researching. Let me tell you why. When I applied to Belgium, I needed to know what the country looks like. So I know about the country from my mentor who had previously studied there and done the exact same thing I was going to do. I spoke to him also, like, oh, what was the program like? Tell me. But it's not like when you see. So I went on YouTube. I started researching about the city where my school was located, the school, the way the buildings were. So it gave me a virtual and a mental picture of what I was going into. So in my head, I kind of like, I'm already there. So it is tied to me being positive, and it's also tied to me actually doing a bit of research. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this is what my hostel looks like. So when the dormitory application came in, I had applied for to stay in one of the dormitories. So what I did is I went on the website for accommodations for my school. You can do a 3D tour. So 3D tour is a virtual tour on your laptop where you can see the rooms, what it contains, like it's like you're there. So sometimes when I'm bored or when I want to get into that zone of frustration or anxiety, I pick up my phone, I go to the website, and I do a virtual tour. So it's like I'm in the room. I'm like, oh, I love this room. I don't want this dormitory. I want this dormitory. This dormitory is classy because it has its own toilet. So it's like I'm already there. I'm looking at the kitchen, the cabinets. You can actually go from room to room, floor to floor on the 3D app, on the website, so with the 3D function. And that was exactly what I did. And at the end of the day, it relaxes me, and when I sleep, I'm dreaming of where I want to be already. So you have to start researching. Number 2 thing that helped me was, in part of researching also, I went on Facebook, I went on Netherlands, and I also went on Google to look for groups that I could join where there are prospective students like me and there are international students who are already there. So if you have any difficulty with your admission, or you just want to know something, you can ask and people will reply you. Another thing is to stay healthy and de-stress. Avoid stress by any means possible. You don't want to eventually leave and then fall sick when you get there. I'm going somewhere, I can't get there and afford to get sick. I don't know nobody, I don't have no family, no friends there. I don't know what the medical situation is going to be like there. And I've heard stories that when you go abroad, it's not really easy to get doctor's appointment and stuff like that. So I knew that already. I just made sure I was fine. My dental part was okay, even though at some point it was not really okay. I just made sure that I was okay bodily, okay mentally, okay spiritually. That's also important. So you want to stay healthy, you want to avoid stress and anything that will trigger anything also that will make you fall sick there. Because sometimes you are stressed, it doesn't show because you are active while you're in your home country. When you eventually get there, now you are relaxed, and the weather also might push out certain things that it's been hiding in your body and all of that. So you just want to stay healthy, you just want to avoid stress, you just want to be fine, have fun. The remaining few weeks or months that you have to leave, have fun, hang out with your friends, hang out with your family, do something that elevates your mood and keeps you in that positive energy vibe and will not make you fall sick when you travel. The last thing I'm going to say is to plan and prepare. So not planning last minute. Know where you can get your winter jacket in your home country. Know the kind of clothes you want to wear when you get there. Be aware of the weather when you are traveling. Is it winter, is it summer, is it spring or autumn? What appropriate clothing do you want to take along with you? Some people will say don't buy winter clothes when you are coming. Please, in your home country, buy winter clothes, because it's going to save you. Because by the time you get there, you don't want to spend money on jackets before you get. Even if you find cheap stores, you just want to stay warm and fine when you are landing. So get winter jackets, get clothing from your home country. Some things they are cheap here, but they are cheap when you are earning here already, not when you are coming from outside and changing the money you have to buy them here. I don't know if that makes sense. That does make sense. Get prepared. Get prepared for the education you are going for. Get prepared for the life you are going to live. Get prepared for the weather, the culture, the environment. Get prepared anyhow you want to prepare that you know would help you when you're eventually there. Just start getting prepared. Start planning. If you want to get there and say, oh, in 1 month I want to do this, start writing your vision board of your life you are envisioning here. I'm saying here like abroad. Now, the last thing I'm going to add for those who might have gotten rejections from admission, scholarship, or visa, familiarize yourself with appeal process. Sometimes I've seen cases where students appeal admission decision. I've seen cases where scholarship gets given at the last minute. So despite the fact that you've gotten a rejection or you've been placed on hold, keep pushing. Look for other funding. Look for plan B. Always have a plan B. Stay proactive. Stay connected. Do your research. Learn about where you're going to. Stay informed. Be positive. Be healthy. And be prayerful. If I have not said that, be prayerful. A lot of these things, if you are a believer, you just know already that you have to be prayerful. There are a lot of things we don't see, a lot of negative or positive energy around us. You want to just stay prayerful and hopeful. You know, this too shall pass. That should be your slogan. This too shall pass. You've applied, you didn't get admitted. This too shall pass. You've applied, you got admitted, you're waiting for visa. This too shall pass. And that stage will pass. But what you do with the stage matters a lot to your life, where you are going to. So I hope with this advice, tips and steps that I have outlined and talked about, I hope it will help you in your journey or on your journey while you transition from being a prospective international student to becoming a full-time international student in your country of abode. I wish you all the best. See you in my next video and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.